There are far too many women walking through this world with no real understanding of just how deeply captivating they are. And I'm not only speaking of beauty. In truth, what stirs us the most has very little to do with appearances. It's something more elusive, something that moves beneath the surface. An energy, a presence, a quiet force that can't be defined but can certainly be felt. There's a way you enter a space, observe the world, carry yourself, and express even the smallest thought that leaves a man entirely disarmed. And the most fascinating part, you often don't see it. It's astonishing how many women underestimate their power because they don't conform to a certain external standard. They believe that if their body doesn't match a trend, or if they're not wearing the latest version of effortless perfection, they couldn't possibly be attractive. But what truly draws us in runs deeper. It isn't the makeup, it's the vibration, the self-possession, that grounded energy you radiate without saying a word. Carl Jung spoke of the unconscious forces that move through us, and what you carry is not just charm, it's archetypal. Today, I want to show you something. The signs, real, tangible, and yet subtle, that reveal just how magnetic you truly are. These are the moments we, as men, notice and experience, often without knowing how to explain them. These are the ways you affect the world, even when you think you're invisible. Some of these signs are so delicate, they pass by you without a second thought. But once you see them for what they are, you'll begin to understand how powerful your energy truly is. Sign 1. Men get nervous around you. This is one of the rawest, most revealing signs of true attraction. And yet, it's also one of the most misunderstood. When a man stammers, avoids your gaze, or suddenly loses his usual confidence, you might think he's not interested. But more often than not, what you're seeing is the opposite. You've touched something in him that he wasn't ready to feel. You've thrown off his balance, and his body, long before his words, betrays that truth. It's subtle, but watch closely. A man who's attracted to you in a way he can't control will do odd things. He'll touch the back of his neck, straighten his posture, fidget with his clothes. He might speak too quickly or too slowly, as if he's suddenly aware of every word. Sometimes he'll fall completely silent, not because he's boring or disinterested, but because he's overwhelmed. He's trying to process you, your energy, your essence. You've made him forget his script. It's not just that he thinks you're beautiful, it's that you carry something he can't quite place. Something real, something powerful. You walk into the room, and his certainty leaves with it. And I want you to hear this clearly. If you've ever noticed a man who's typically confident suddenly become awkward around you, don't dim your light to make him comfortable. That discomfort is a compliment. It means he sees you as something rare, worth more than casual attention. Sign 2. People glance at you twice. This one is so simple, yet so telling. And many women miss it entirely. When you walk into a space, whether it's a cafe, a street corner, or just your daily errands, watch what happens. You may think you're blending into the background, but the environment responds to you. And when someone looks at you once, then looks again, that's no small gesture. That second glance is the moment something deep registers. It's not about dramatic outfits or loud colors. Most of the time, it's not even about how much skin you show. It's about the energy you carry, the way you move, the way your presence fills space without needing to say anything. When a man looks back a second time, it means something in him wasn't finished taking you in. Something in his subconscious said, "Wait, what was that?" That pause is instinctual. It's the soul trying to understand what the eyes just felt. And here's the truth. It's not always about attraction in the shallow sense. It's about impact. You left an impression, and it lingered. That's what draws the second look. And what's even more interesting is this. Many women never even notice it. They're looking down, distracted, or rushing through life. But if you've ever seen someone glance at you twice, without a word, trust me, your energy reached them. And no one looks twice, unless something in you refused to be forgotten. Sign 3. You underestimate yourself, but still get compliments constantly. This is one of the most paradoxical, yet clearest indicators of true attraction. Have you ever had a day where you felt off? Maybe you were tired, or not in love with your reflection. And still, someone looked at you in awe. Someone said, "Wow, there's something about you today. That's not random. That's real. That's you, radiating something that even you don't fully see yet." It happens all the time. You don't feel beautiful. You think your hair isn't cooperating, your clothes are too plain, your mood is too low. But someone else sees you and is absolutely taken. Why? Because what draws people to you isn't the carefully curated version of yourself. It's the one that leaks through even when you're trying to hide. The natural laugh, the deep thought, the way you're simply you, without pretense. What's most magnetic about you is often the very thing you overlook. That's what makes it so powerful. Carl Jung said that the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. But once you do, the world begins to respond in kind, and men sense that truth in you, whether you see it or not. So next time someone compliments you on a day when you feel your least radiant, don't dismiss it. That's your light showing up despite your doubt. Sign 4. They find small reasons to be around you. When a man is drawn to a woman but doesn't have the confidence or clarity to approach her directly, he begins to invent small, harmless excuses. At first glance, it might seem like he simply needs help or has a question. But if you look more closely, the pattern reveals something much more honest, a longing to be near you without the risk of being too obvious. He might ask you how something works when he clearly already knows. Or he'll stop by your desk or message you about something that could easily have been resolved without you. But his tone is different. Soft, slightly awkward, maybe even nervous. You see, Jung believed that the unconscious is always communicating, even when our words try to conceal it. In these moments, what he says is not nearly as important as why he's saying it. He's not trying to manipulate or deceive. He's searching for safety in proximity. You might think it's coincidence, or even a little silly. But when it starts to happen again and again, different questions, same man, pay attention, because what he's craving isn't information, it's connection. A chance to be inside your orbit without confessing the real reason your presence unsettles something in him he didn't expect to feel. Most women brush this off. They see it as politeness, friendliness, or a fluke. But those small questions are doorways. They're the unconscious mind trying to create intimacy without the risk of exposure. If you look at his eyes, his posture, his pauses, you'll see the truth. He's not confused. He's cautious. He wants more, but doesn't yet know how to ask for it. So instead, he stays close. And in staying close, he hopes you'll feel the same thing he's trying so hard not to reveal. Sign 5. Other women criticize you without cause. This one can feel uncomfortable, even painful. You're not seeking attention. You're not trying to outshine anyone. And yet, someone still finds a reason to look at you sideways, to comment under their breath, or to make a remark that feels like a cut cloaked in sugar. You wonder what you did wrong. You begin to question yourself. But often, the answer has nothing to do with you, and everything to do with what your presence activates in someone else. Jung taught that what we reject in ourselves, we project onto others. Insecure people often see your confidence, your ease, your stillness, and it exposes the parts of themselves they've kept hidden. You didn't ask to be the mirror, but your energy became one. And for someone who isn't at peace within, that reflection can feel unbearable. So they attack it, not because you're too much, but because you remind them of where they feel not enough. It's subtle. Maybe they say you're too confident, or that you think you're better. Maybe they laugh at how you dress, or speak as if they're just being playful. But underneath those words is discomfort, You bring light to a room, and some people squint when the light gets too bright. That's not your fault. That's just where they are in their own journey. What matters most is this: don't shrink to make them comfortable. Don't dilute your radiance to blend in with people who haven't learned to love their own reflection. Your power, your grace, your quiet magnetism, they're not the problem. They're the proof. The proof that you're standing in something real. And real always makes noise in rooms that are built on pretense. Sign 6. Strangers smile at you without knowing why. Have you ever walked into a space, a grocery store, a quiet street, a coffee shop, and noticed someone smiling at you for no apparent reason, no words exchanged, no eye contact held too long? Just a soft, sincere smile, like something in you moved something in them. That moment is no accident. It's energy, it's soul, it's resonance. We are constantly transmitting signals without speaking. Our posture, our facial expressions, our presence, they carry a language the unconscious understands long before the conscious mind can explain it. When someone smiles at you in passing, it's their body responding to a vibration you've unconsciously shared. And most of the time, you weren't even trying. That's what makes it so powerful. You may dismiss it as politeness. You may think, maybe they're just having a good day. But those random smiles are often the body's way of saying, I feel something here. I feel peace, or softness, or warmth. And when a woman carries true feminine energy, calm, magnetic, grounded, it causes people to respond without even knowing why. That's why it doesn't feel forced. That smile is not about attraction in the shallow sense. It's a silent thank you from the world for being what you are, for reminding someone that not everything has to be loud to be powerful, for simply existing in your natural state and letting that be enough. Because when you carry that kind of quiet power, the world does notice, even in moments when you're not looking. Sign 7. Men in relationships look at you more than they should. This one may feel unsettling, but it must be said because it's another reflection of the power you carry. Sometimes, a man who is already in a committed relationship finds himself looking at you longer than he should. It's not always about physical attraction. It's about the kind of energy that disrupts the ordinary. The kind of presence that makes even someone spoken for pause without fully understanding why. It's not your fault. You didn't do anything to provoke it. You weren't dressing for attention or trying to seduce. In fact, you might have barely noticed him at all. But your presence stirred something unconscious, something he didn't expect. Carl Jung would call this projection. When someone sees in you a symbol of something they crave but haven't found within their own world. Maybe you embody warmth, or freedom, or mystery. Whatever it is, it shows in his eyes. And even though he knows he shouldn't linger, he still does. You'll catch it sometimes. A gaze held just a second too long. A glance quickly redirected. A nervous shift in his seat. And you wonder, did I do something wrong? But no, you didn't. It's not about guilt or blame. It's about the resonance you naturally emit. Your feminine energy, subtle, instinctive, real, doesn't check relationship statuses. It simply radiates. And when someone hasn't felt that energy in a long time, they notice, even if they pretend not to. What you must remember is this: your power is not a weapon. It's a frequency. It's not your responsibility how others respond to it. If you've ever sensed someone looking at you who shouldn't be, take it not as a reason to feel ashamed, but as quiet confirmation that your energy is far more potent than you often realize. That kind of attention isn't your fault. It's simply a byproduct of the light you carry. Sign 8. You get a lot of attention online without trying. In a world full of filters, exaggerated poses, and polished perfection, your most effortless post somehow gets all the attention. A casual picture, a quiet moment, no drama, no intention to seduce, just you, being real. And still, the reactions pour in. The comments, the messages, The long glances from people who barely interact otherwise. You might wonder, what's so special about this? But that's the point. It's you who's special, not the photo. There's something about your presence that reaches beyond the screen. You don't need to reveal much, because your authenticity speaks louder than exposure ever could. There's energy in your eyes, in your stillness, in your gaze. Jung taught that the unconscious communicates through symbols, and even a photograph can become a symbol of something deeper, something people long for, but rarely find: realness. You may not see yourself as particularly magnetic. You may second-guess your own images, your own words. But others don't. They feel it, even if they don't know how to express it. Some men are even intimidated by it, because they sense something in you that they aren't ready for, something they can't control, and certainly can't scroll past without noticing. And here's the twist. It's not about aesthetics. It's about essence. You could post something simple, a laugh, a moment of calm, a soft stare, and still gather more attention than someone trying their hardest to be seen. That's because the power you carry isn't in what you show, it's in what you are. And the digital world, just like the physical one, can feel it too. Sign 9. Men act confused around you. This is one of the clearest but most misunderstood signs of how deeply you impact others. A man might show clear interest. He compliments you, engages in conversation, seeks you out. And then suddenly, as if a switch flipped, he pulls away. He goes silent. He disappears. You wonder what happened. Was it something you said? Was he playing games? But the truth is often much more complex. Many men are not used to encountering a woman whose energy shakes them out of autopilot. When he meets someone who touches him in a place beyond words, who makes him feel both drawn in and unsure, his mind starts to panic. Jung spoke about how the soul reacts when we meet the parts of ourselves we've kept hidden. That's exactly what happens here. You didn't confuse him. You confronted him with his own longing. He may disappear, not because he's lost interest, but because he doesn't know how to handle it. He's overwhelmed. He needs time to reassemble himself, to figure out how to come back to you, without exposing just how vulnerable he really is. And sometimes he will come back as if nothing happened, as if he never left. But behind that return is a storm of inner conflict, fear, and hope. What's important is to recognize this pattern for what it is: a mirror. Your presence brought up something in him that he's still trying to name. And even if he's not ready to admit it, the truth is there. So, next time someone seems interested, then retreats, then reappears without explanation, know that what you stirred in him is real, and that he is wrestling, not with you, but with what you awaken. Sign 10. You don't realize your own power. Of all the signs, this may be the most important because it's the one that quietly fuels all the others. The most magnetic women are often the ones who have no idea just how powerful they really are. They walk through the world questioning themselves, measuring their worth against expectations, never quite seeing the mirror that others already hold up for them. They don't recognize the way people pause when they enter the room. They don't see how effortlessly they draw admiration, and that unawareness, it only makes them more captivating. There's something deeply spiritual about a woman who isn't performing. She isn't trying to be impressive. She just is. And that kind of authenticity resonates more than anything you can fake. Jung taught that true transformation happens not when we become something new, but when we finally integrate who we already are. When you begin to notice your own impact, not out of vanity, but from a grounded clarity, something changes. Your energy sharpens. Your presence strengthens. You stop shrinking. What's beautiful is that the shift is subtle. You don't have to become louder. You don't need to be more provocative or more visible. All you have to do is stand in your essence fully. Not apologize for it, not hide it. Just know it. That knowing radiates, and men sense it immediately. Your gaze changes, your posture changes, and the people around you begin to rise to meet your energy. So, if you've been doubting yourself, wondering whether you're enough, let this be your reminder. You've always been more than enough. You don't need permission to shine. You don't need validation to believe. Your power doesn't start when someone else sees it. It begins when you do. Sign 11. Your absence speaks louder than your presence. Not every woman walks into a room and demands attention. Some simply arrive quietly, calmly, and shift the entire atmosphere without a word. But the real magic happens when she leaves. Because that's when people realize what her presence really meant. The room feels colder, the energy drops, conversations lose their spark. And no one quite knows why, but they feel it. You've been gone for 2 minutes, and already something's missing. This is what Jung might call a psychic imprint. Your energy doesn't just exist in the present moment, it leaves a trace. A soft signature that lingers long after you've walked away. You didn't force it. You didn't beg for attention. You simply existed in full presence. And people felt safe, inspired, grounded, or stirred in ways they didn't expect. And when you're gone, the absence becomes undeniable. You may not think of yourself as someone who makes a lasting impression. But if people check in after you leave, if someone messages you with, "You disappeared," if they remember small things you said in passing, that's your effect. That's your energy leaving fingerprints on the soul. And the truth is, unforgettable women aren't always the ones who shine the brightest. They're the ones who remain in thought, in memory, in the emotional space you didn't even know you filled. Sign 12. Silence with you. Feels like peace, not pressure. This is one of the most intimate signs of all, and many women never realize how powerful it is. When a man feels genuinely attracted to you, not just physically but energetically, something unusual happens. He becomes still. He doesn't feel the need to entertain you or fill the space with nervous chatter. He feels ease in the silence. He stays in it. And that silence? It becomes something sacred. You may sit beside him in complete quiet, and he won't feel awkward. He won't reach for his phone or glance around for distraction. He'll just be there, fully present, fully absorbed, not because he doesn't know what to say, but because your presence is enough. In Jungian terms, this is what happens when two energies align beyond the ego. When the conscious mind relaxes and the soul feels safe. He may not even understand why he enjoys being near you so much. He may not find the words to explain what you make him feel. But deep down, he knows something is different. You're not like others. You don't demand attention. You command serenity. You don't try to impress you. Allow people to feel. And in a world filled with noise, a woman who can make silence feel like intimacy is unforgettable. So if you've noticed that men become quieter around you, if they seem content just being in your company, without needing constant engagement, cherish that. That's not emptiness. That's depth. That's resonance. That's attraction in its purest, most unconscious form. The final reflection. Now that you've seen these signs, really seen them, pause and ask yourself, how many of them have been present in your own life without you noticing? How many compliments, lingering stares, nervous glances, or soft smiles have you brushed off because you didn't think they meant anything? Carl Jung reminded us that the unconscious often knows more than the conscious mind. And maybe it's time you started listening, not just to others, but to yourself. You carry something extraordinary, a frequency, a presence, a depth that speaks louder than words and echoes longer than memory. So, the next time someone tells you you're special, don't doubt them. The next time you sense a tension in a room, don't second-guess it. And the next time someone falls silent beside you, feel it. Because the truth is, you are far more captivating than you think. And it's not because of what you try to be. It's because of who you already are. You are the symbol their unconscious never expected to meet. You are unforgettable, and you don't need to prove it. You just need to know it.